Gnocchi, or gnocchi in Italian, means dumplings in English. These are like little pillows, and the base of these pillows is potato. Now, I'm not gonna lie to you, I wanna be honest with you, America. This dough is pretty difficult, and you probably won't get it right the first time. But don't fret, potatoes are cheap, and all you need is a little patience. And on the plus side, you can make the dough, form the gnocchi, blanch them, and freeze them, and finish them right from frozen. That's convenient, America. An authentic Italian dish that's also convenient. Tell that to Olive Garden and tell that to Rachel Ray. So I have here about 2 pounds of potatoes, hot out of the oven. And this is the base of our gnocchi dough. So we're actually going to, these are still pretty hot, but we want to peel them while they're hot. And the reason why we bake these, and I have actually baked these on salt here, is to just draw out moisture compared to boiling these, which would just add more moisture. And as you'll find by making your own gnocchi dough, is moisture is evil. So get a towel if it's very hot. Mine is. Just slice it down the center. Perfectly tender. Here we go. We'll just scoop out the flesh. It's important to bake them in their skins. Once again, to just keep them as dry as possible. There we go. So if you don't have salt to bake the potatoes on, don't worry, you can just bake them normally. I baked these at about 450 degrees for maybe about 45 minutes until I poked a knife through and they were completely tender. Now, another thing which is important to do while they're still warm is to rice them. This is a potato ricer. I don't like to mash them because it tends to overwork the potatoes, and unlike pasta dough, like our episode we had previously, you don't want to overwork this dough. That's what's going to create a gummy pasta. So we'll just throw these potatoes in this ricer and you'll see that it just creates a really fluffy texture. Potatoes are hot. And watch this. So we have our rice potatoes here, still warm, and we want to do this while they're still warm. I'm spreading these kind of out a little bit, making a little well in the center. And now I'm going to add here, I have 2 egg yolks. I'm not going to use all of this. I'm going to save a little, about half of it. And this is just to bind the dough together, but we don't want to add too much moisture. And if we need more, we'll add a little more. And here is about 1.5 cups of flour. I'm also not going to use all of this. I'm just going to sprinkle probably about half of this, maybe 3/4 of this over the top. And this is just to help bind it together. I mean, remember, we want this to be a potato dough. And we don't want to mask the flavor of potato by flour, because potato is a very subtle kind of neutral flavor, and we still want that to show through. So now, get a bench scraper. You could also use your hands here and just kind of cut through the dough here. Just kind of work it together. Remember, you don't want to overwork this. Now see, this is still a very moist dough, so I'm going to add some more flour. I might use some more. And our dough ends up coming together like this. It's not sticky, it's soft though. It's a little bit moist. And it's okay if you see little specks of potato or egg yolk in there. We're not too worried about binding everything together because the more that we work it, the more that it's gonna get tougher and it's gonna turn into a mushy dough. We don't want that. Now we also wanna add salt to this dough. This is all starch right now, and so you'd probably be a little bit surprised by how much salt we can add. There we go. And we'll just work this into the dough. You have this beautiful pliable dough here. And this is ready to be shaped. And we're gonna cut this dough into pieces. And I'm gonna flour my knife to make sure that doesn't stick. And as this dough sits, it will get wetter. So keep that in mind. So going to maybe cut this into quarters. Here, flour this a little bit. Flour the board. I'm just gonna roll this out. And now I'm gonna take a knife and I'm gonna cut these to about 1/2-inch pieces. Don't worry if they're not all the same size. I think it adds a nice rustic quality to it. So now that we have our gnocchi, there's a few ways to go from here. The traditional gnocchi in Italian, what we do is we'd roll these into a ball. Get a ball like that, and we'll take a gnocchi paddle or a butter paddle, and this is about $3 at a restaurant supply store. It's not a necessity, but classically with a gnocchi, you're gonna squeeze down and you're gonna roll. So you have this long oval shape. I think that's okay. It's a little too classic for me. And I'm always liking to spice some things up. So another way to go is a little bit more minimalist, where you just lightly, very lightly go and you get this kind of very light oval shape. Ever so lightly here. Another way to go even is to keep it very minimalist and just kind of keep these like little square pillows. No shame in that. So really the choice is yours. I'm probably gonna do a mixture of everything. And we're almost done here. Look at that. See, it only took 2 seconds. There we go. I just put these on my floured tray, and now we can go to blanch them. So now we'll take this over to the boiling water. We'll also take some salt here. And because we salted our gnocchi, we don't need to really liberally salt the water. And now, as this is to a simmer, we will add some of our gnocchi to the water. We'll just give this a stir. We'll add some more. Stir so they don't stick to each other. And we'll let this come back up to a simmer. And when these all float to the top, that's when we know they're ready. So we'll just give this another stir so that they don't stick together, and those are good. I also have over here a sheet pan lined with paper towel, and this is for us to put the gnocchi when they're done. I'll also get, you can always just use a spoon, but this is a great tool for getting gnocchi out of water, also for deep frying. It's called a spider. Recommend it. There we go. So these are all floating now, which means they're all done. here now, we can spread these out on our paper towel. Let these drain off extra moisture. So I've drained my gnocchi and I've now put them on a lined sheet tray that I'm actually gonna just pop right in the freezer. So we'll pop these in. And after about an hour, they're done. And we can either freeze them for a couple months in a Ziploc bag or take them right out and cook them from there. But it's better to freeze them, I think, because we're gonna saute them and brown them. And we don't want them to be mushy. We want them to kind of hold their shape and really get that crust. So it's a really good idea to kind of dry them out in the freezer and make them hard. Okay, so I have frozen gnocchi here because we've froze these for about a month and it's a month later. And right now I'm going to saute them right from frozen. So these have been cooked or blanched, frozen, and now we're just gonna brown them. So we're gonna heat up a little film of oil right here, non-stick pan. There we go. It's getting nice and hot. I have some chicken stock, remember that. That's coming up to a simmer, and this is just gonna help us with our sauce. I'm making a sauce, if you didn't catch us on Fox, Connecticut, local Fox, Connecticut, I'm making a sauce very similar to that, and this is a sauce that's emulsified a la minute. It's a very simple sauce made out of stock, emulsified butter, seasoned with a little bit of champagne vinegar, and it's just a simple all-purpose sauce that you can use for pasta or gnocchi, really any sort of Italian or French pasta dish. So we'll brown these. Now we want these to get some color, so we'll let them kind of just sit there for a little bit until they get some color. You don't have to touch them, you just have the confidence to let them get brown. So now, so you can see that we're already getting color on there. Getting some good color too. And this is going to add a nice kind of effect to your gnocchi. Traditionally, gnocchi are just like pillows that are cooked in a sauce, and now we add this other effect that these are going to be kind of, you know, toasty and crunchy on the outside, yet soft and succulent on the inside. So now, I'll add my stock. And this is chicken stock that we made. You want to add enough to kind of cover them. Add that whole thing there. And we'll let that start to kind of reduce down, as this is the base of our sauce. So we want this stock to start to kind of reduce down, which it has. Now we're going to add our butter, and we're going to add a generous amount of butter here. We'll let this sauce kind of reduce down to more of a sauce consistency. Should give it a little taste. So right now, it's not quite there. See, we want it to coat the back of a spoon, and right now it's a little thin. Add a little champagne vinegar. If you don't have champagne vinegar, you could use a little white wine vinegar. And this is just to season. And that's about done. So we'll go and plate this over here. Now I'll add finely minced chives to garnish. So let's give it a taste. Mm. Mm. Hot. They're rich. That butter sauce goes so well. Definitely don't eat this 7 nights a week. But it's fantastic, especially if you're pairing this with a braised meat or as a side dish. Definitely very filling as a main dish itself. But this, authentic Italian. Tell that to Olive Garden. Tell that to Rachel Ray. So, if you want to know how to make this, definitely hit the like and subscribe button and check out my blog, domesticatedchef.com. I have detailed recipes. Also, where you can find the equipment that I used. Yeah, so good. Keep cooking, America. You'll be able to cook something like this.